Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is going to be exciting times for the world of travel and passenger flight services because we are all anxiously waiting to get back on holidays and get back on our traveling routes. And Iran is planning her journey to the African plains.
We'll see. We'll see if it's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
Not confirmed.
Not
This
confirmed.
is it, isn't it? The world of travel at the moment still stands. I'm thinking about it.
Exactly, yeah. There's so
And-
many doubts. When I used to make a decision about traveling, I would do it overnight.
Yeah.
And I have been making this, I've been planning this, or thinking about this trip for the past 3 weeks, which is unlike me.
Exactly.
Because of the pandemic.
because of that, isn't it?
You never know. Yeah, if
Yeah.
things change there, they have to lock things back up.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, even for my...
The ongoing changing situation.
It is. It's tough, isn't it? Even for my little wonderful honeymoon, I
Right.
ventured off to the northern territories of the United staycationing, and
Safe option.
safe option.
Yeah.
It definitely was because there's a couple of people within our own team here as well who went off on a 2-week holiday. Turned out to be a month and a half
Exactly.
long ordeal.
Yeah.
So scary times indeed. But now imagine this: if someone says, we have an option of taking you to a said destination. Let's say, for example, it is Nairobi for our very own reasons. And they say it's going instead of an 8-hour-long flight, we offer you a 4-hour flight.
Right.
You'd jump on that option.
For sure.
Reason
sure.
is because in 2029, we're going to return to supersonic speeds to aviation.
Yeah, my close friend was telling me she's actually traveling to the United States today. And it's a 16-hour flight, and she's mulling what she has to do. Like, do I sleep 10 hours and stay up all night and then sleep 10 hours in the plane and then spend 6 hours doing God knows what? So
Yeah.
flying is tricky. It's actually the thing I dread the most if I have to travel somewhere far
Me too.
is the
Me too.
flight, because
Oh, yes.
you're cramped in close quarters with strangers. And
That's right.
the time dilates for some reason when you're on a flight, and everything feels much longer. So the allure of ultra-fast air travel has always been there. Now,
Yeah.
the reason we're talking about this is the possible return of supersonic commercial flight. And that came to an end back in 2003 when the Concorde finished its last trip between New York and London in 2003. But now, United Airlines wants to bring this back.
So basically, supersonic flight, it's when an aircraft travels faster than the speed of sound. That's just to get things clear. It's at an altitude of 60,000 feet. That means flying faster than 660 miles per hour. So a typical passenger jet, it may cruise at about 560 miles per hour, but Overture is expected to reach speeds of 1,122 miles per hour, also known as Mach 1.7. So at that speed, journey times on transatlantic routes such as London to New York can be cut in half. And they're saying that Overture would be able to make the trip in 3.5 hours. That's shaving 3 hours off the flight. And Concorde, which entered passenger service back in 1976, it was even faster with a maximum speed of Mach 2.04, about 1,350 miles per hour. So this is what's going on. But it comes definitely with challenges. There are two major concerns with supersonic passenger travel. First one being noise.
Oh, yeah.
The second one, obviously, something that we dread the most and we want to always avoid, especially at a time of sustainability, is pollution. Now, traveling faster than the speed of sound, it definitely causes a sonic boom, which can be heard on the ground as a loud thunderclap or even explosion. It's where the company Boom actually got its name. But yeah, and the boom actually limits where the planes can actually fly. Typically, they must lower their speed until they are out over the ocean, away from citizens who may be disturbed by the loud bang. But they're saying that it is confident, the company is saying that it is confident that its plane will not be any louder than other modern passenger jets while taking off, flying over land and landing. It also hopes that improvements in aircraft design since Concorde will help it reduce and mitigate as well the sonic boom. The other big issue, as we said, is fuel consumption, which will cause in turn the pollution. So in order to fly supersonic, you will need more power, obviously, and you will need more fuel. So pollution.
You need more money as well, because
true.
Concorde used to fly, it cost a lot higher than a first class seat on a normal plane. I'm just trying to play Mr. Sam Chewy's little vlog on Concorde.
2019 is Concorde's 50th
And then
anniversary.
I tried to listen to this sound of the plane, and it was crazy, the background sound of the Concorde. But the thing is, who is it going to appeal to? Are we going to be using that plane to travel? Because the super rich still prefer private charter planes as opposed to queuing up. And
I agree with Ahmed. He mentioned a very important point. You know, those trips to, for example, the States, for example, China, countries that really, I mean, their flights are really long. This will definitely benefit those passengers. Because, I mean, one of the reasons why sometimes they say, like, my family members, they tell me, let's go to the States, let's go to this. I'm like, no way. That is the main reason. It's not because I don't want to go. It's because of the flight time.
It's a real thing to dread.
It's the length.
Definitely is. But, I mean, didn't the Concorde, like, not work out for a reason? And I read that besides the high costs of travel, as you noted, there were safety concerns with that plane. The challenges for Boom, for instance, to get that plane certified by regulators around the world, by the Federal Aviation Administration, that's going to be a challenge. But the other thing about the Concorde, too, is demand wasn't all that high for it at the time either. What makes you think it's going to change?
Because of the cost, I believe.
That's
enormous cost.
That's a factor, yeah. What do you think?
Well, this plane's going to cost $200 million.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a lot. It's going to be very pricey for airlines to start investing in it, especially when the airlines have got a long way to go when it comes to returning back to their normal balance sheets.
I can already see rappers singing about this. Like, this is going to be the new topic. Like, oh, I'm riding supersonic planes. You know what I mean? Like, you know, being flashy about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I can see it happening in the near future.
But yeah, I wonder if airlines would actually invest in this, because maybe it's not economically viable, the sheer cost of this and the sheer amount of hurdles that they have to overcome to get this flying, especially at a time where there's more than ever regulation on the environment and gas guzzling vehicles and methods of transport. I don't know about this one.
But once the hype starts, everyone likes to be part of the hype, don't they?
Exactly.
So I think there's going to be so much more to look forward to that. Well, stay with us. Time now for another quick bulletin. There's going to be sports headlines this time round, courtesy of Hani Balkis. And then we've got a bit of Justin Timberlake to keep you motivated this morning. And then we return with more discussions surrounding the global pandemic that has been in the headlines or on the headlines for a year and a half now. Well, stay with us. This is the Morning Majlis. We'll be back very shortly.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis, Pulse 95.
Well, the wealthy group of 7 countries have been for years trying to overhaul international tax laws, and they have now unveiled a broad agreement that aims to stop large multinational companies from seeking out tax havens. They essentially want to force those big companies to pay more of their income to those governments. So we're talking about a new global minimum tax rate of at least 15% being imposed that companies would have to pay regardless of where they locate their headquarters. The typical practice is they would locate their headquarters in a place to try and sort of reap as many tax benefits as they could. Now, the agreement also would impose an additional tax on some of the largest multinational companies, namely tech giants like Amazon, Facebook, and Google, as well as other big global businesses. They're going to have to pay taxes to countries based on where their goods and services are sold, regardless of whether they have a physical presence in that nation. Officials speaking to media described the pact as a historic agreement that could reshape global commerce and solidify public finances that have been eroded after more than a year of combating the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's right, Ahmed. So basically what happened was that the United States, Britain, and other large rich nations reached a landmark deal yesterday to squeeze more money out of those multinational companies such as Amazon and Google and Facebook and reduce their incentive to shift profits to low-tax offshore havens. So hundreds of billions of dollars could flow into the coffers of governments left cash-strapped by the COVID-19 pandemic after the G7 group, let's say, advanced economies agreed to back a minimum global corporate tax rate of at least 15%, just like Ahmed mentioned. So Facebook said it expected it would have to pay more tax in more countries as a result of this deal, which comes after 8 years of talks that gained fresh impetus in recent months after proposals from the U.S. President Joe Biden's new administration. So, according to the British Finance Minister Rishi Sunak, he said after chairing the two-day meeting in London, he said that the G7 finance ministers, they have reached this historic agreement to reform the global tax system to make it fit for the global digital age. And we know that this meeting, it was hosted at the 19th century mansion near Buckingham Palace in central London. And it was the first time finance ministers have met face to face since the start of the pandemic. Also, the U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said that the significant, unprecedented commitment could or would end what she called a race to the bottom on global taxation. As for the German finance minister, Olaf Scholz said that the deal was bad news for tax havens all around the world, and also said that the G7 meeting was marking a return to multilateralism under Biden, and also a contrast to the approach of U.S. President Donald Trump, who basically alienated many U.S. allies as well, because she did say that what I've seen during my time at this G7 is deep collaboration and a desire to coordinate and also address a much broader range of global problems. And also during this meeting, ministers also agreed to move towards making companies declare their environmental impact in a more standard way, so the investors, they can decide more easily whether to fund them, which is a very key goal for Britain, as we know.
It's quite interesting because what's going to happen is it has replaced the national digital services tax that some European and UK, for example, do levy. So that's going to go away. In terms of the reaction, Ireland has voiced concerns because obviously it was a tax haven, and international companies such as Facebook, Amazon, and Google have voiced their support for this new agreement, saying it is going to be a step forward in bringing stability to the international tax system.
Yeah, exactly. And the Biden administration has also been particularly eager to reach an agreement because a global minimum tax is closely tied to the Biden administration's plans to raise the corporate tax in that country to 28% from 21% to help pay for Biden's infrastructure proposal. That has faced opposition from business lobbyists within the United States who are saying that it will make American companies less competitive than their international counterparts and lead to more offshoring. So where do we go from here? Well, many challenges still remain for the G7 proposal. Next month, they're going to have to sell this concept to finance ministers from the broader group of 20 countries that are set to meet in Italy. But if that works out, officials are hoping that a final deal can be signed by the G20 when they reconvene in October. So that's going to be a pretty interesting agreement to follow as well. And Bruno Le Maire, France's finance minister, also applauded the agreement as ambitious and said that his country would continue a push for a global minimum tax of 15%. Other heads of finance from the G7 countries have also commented positively on this development. Reportedly, the biggest obstacle to getting the deal finished might come from the U.S., where Biden has to win approval from a narrowly divided Congress in order to make changes to the tax code, and Republicans might show some resistance to Biden's plans as well. American businesses will bear the brunt of the new taxes, namely those tech companies as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens within the United States, because definitely those big tech companies are using those tax havens. We'll have to see how that proceeds as well.
Definitely, and it will be very beneficial for the EU governments and for Britain in particular, because this G7 agreement to establish this minimum tax rate on the big tech and other companies, this could bring in more cash, and not just any kind of cash, about more than $200 billion a year in revenue for British and EU governments if a higher tax rate of 25% were agreed to by G7. Sunak even said we cannot continue to rely on a tax system that was largely designed in the 1920s, so it has to change now. And this application of a new global corporate tax will also lead to the removal of all digital services, service taxes, and other relevant similar measures on all companies, which is a communique issued by the G7 finance ministers and the central bank heads yesterday. So they also said that they would progress measures and look forward to reaching agreement at the July meeting of the G20 finance ministers and central bank governments. And of course, we know that the G20 meeting is set to take place in Venice next month, so we're going to have to see what goes on there.
It'll be very interesting to see how the deal continues because once people start seeing their bank balance, with the countries start seeing the income from this tax increase, it is only natural that people start being greedy and say, you know what, I'm going to charge more because this is great. And this is where the drama will start. So to what extent does this historic deal continue, and is it going to be sustainable, is only to be seen. But we are in the first few phases, the beginning phase, the honeymoon phase of this new agreement, and then we shall see what the reality unfolds, or how it unfolds. Stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We are going to be back again. We are going to be talking about from one partnership to another partnership. It is the Hamria Free Zone Authority and the new strategic partnership with BIA that we'll be discussing here on the Morning Majlis. We leave you with a bit of Rita Ora, and then we've got a traffic update coming up next to help you keep moving this morning. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Yeah, well, over the weekend, the price of Bitcoin has tumbled after Elon Musk appeared again to lament the end of his relationship with Bitcoin. The blues of the breakup here. The Tesla CEO tweeting a meme about a couple breaking up, along with the Bitcoin hashtag and a broken heart emoji. The post including lyrics from a song by the band Linkin Park titled In the End. As a result, Bitcoin reportedly fell over 6% to go as low as 35,800, according to CoinDesk. It was last trading at 36,410, having dropped about 5% over the past 24 hours. And other digital currencies have also lost ground, namely Ethereum. Elon Musk has been tweeting quite cryptically about various cryptocurrencies,
nice.
And I
like your word.
It was see what I did there? Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it. But yeah, he seems to be moving the crypto market whenever he tweets something, and Bitcoin is getting very, very low now.
Why is he so influential? I just don't understand. I mean, yes, he's the head of Tesla.
CEO,
Kind
man.
of loaded.
Yeah, but
Ahmed would know.
Come on. I think it all started after he said that when they said that Tesla is going to accept Bitcoin as a form of payment. So all the high net worth individuals would be thinking, you know what, if I buy a Bitcoin now, I could buy more Teslas for my Bitcoin. Because think about it, it was one Bitcoin was valued at $50,000. It was well above it.
Yeah.
Now it's crashed down to 36.
Yeah.
So when people were building up, let's say they started buying it when it was $18,000 or even $8,000, they think they've made a good profit and they've been able to do it. But now, since it crashed, since when people started buying it when it was 55, this is going to put a lot of people's sentiments down, but it's a huge crash if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Back in April, it was $64,000.
Exactly. They have had a wild year. They reached basically a record high of more than $64,000 in April, as you said, Ahmed, only to then plummet to nearly $30,000 the following month. And it's now more than 40% off its all-time high, though still up almost 30% so far in 2021. But it's not the first time Musk's tweets about crypto have moved the market, obviously. Back in May last month, he said that Tesla would stop accepting Bitcoin as a payment method due to concerns over its energy usage. So that shaved basically hundreds of billions of dollars in value off the entire crypto market in a single day. He's so influential, this man, when it comes to cryptocurrencies. Some in the crypto industry, they have actually criticized him in the past for his posts about digital currencies. Musk, he definitely frequently tweeted about joke cryptocurrency, Dogecoin, for instance, often resulting in wild moves in its price as well. But following his latest tweet about Bitcoin, Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, disapproved. He said, obviously Binance is the world's largest crypto exchange by trading volumes. But he did tweet saying that tweets that hurt other people's finances are not funny and irresponsible, according to Zhao. And definitely Musk's Twitter posts have also affected assets beyond crypto. Just on Wednesday, shares of Samsung Publishing, which is a major shareholder and the producer of Baby Shark, soared after a tweet from Musk about the viral children's song. So influential, his tweets.
Yeah.
They've attracted also the ire of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, which back in 2018 accused Musk and his electric car firm of committing securities fraud after the CEO tweeted that he would take the company private and had funding secured for the deal.
Well, I mean, Bitcoin is unregulated and prone to price manipulation. And every now and then, it goes through these bubbles, these ever-growing bubbles, and then it goes through hard crashes, namely 2017 as well. And around the time it goes through a crash, you open the newspaper and it's like, oh, China's looking at Bitcoin. They're a little concerned. They might crack down on it. And this was like back in 2017, and now we're seeing the same story again. And it's sort of an up and down thing. And what we're gearing up for, Bitcoin enthusiasts, they're saying that in 3 years, there's going to be a halvening where if you mine Bitcoin, you're going to be getting half the amount than you used to. And this happens every 4 years. So that's going to make the price go up as well. So Bitcoin enthusiasts are saying, hey, the price is going down. This is really good. Buy the crash and sell when the bubble happens. And I think that's...
You want to do this too.
I
keeping you
will
from
not.
doing
No
it.
comment. Rania will keep me steady for sure. But yeah, it's just an unregulated Wild West. And the fact that someone's tweets have such an impact, or they say it has such an impact, that's pretty interesting too. But you'll find that when it comes to Bitcoin, the ownership is concentrated among a very small percentage of people, and they tend to drive the price the way they want to. And we might be seeing some of that now. And as far as what China's doing with Bitcoin, that still hasn't been confirmed either. So it's just a very weird story overall.
Definitely is. It does get everyone concerned in terms of what is the reality here and who's actually driving it and what is the purpose of all of this. But we've got to keep a close eye in terms of what's going on when it comes to the purpose behind Elon Musk's tweet. But I am quite intrigued by the little reference to Linkin Park as well. So in line with that, we'll give you a little bit of Linkin Park's cover this morning to keep things chilled and happy this morning as well. Stay with us on Pulse 95. We'll be back again after the news headlines. We leave you with a little bit of Linkin Park's cover in the end, and that's what exactly Elon Musk had tweeted as well.
Stay fit. Stay fit. Stay fit.
Well, Manchester United ownership is extending an olive branch to its fans who haven't been too happy since the ill-fated European Super League affair. Manchester United co-owners Joel Glazer offering to make shares available to supporters with the same voting rights as shares held by his family in an attempt to heal that rift with his fans. Now, talks over the weekend marked the first engagement by the Glazers with fans since buying United in a leveraged and controversial takeover back in 2005 that loaded debt onto the club and sparked years of protests. The dissent reached unprecedented levels last month when unrest around and inside Old Trafford led to United's game against Liverpool being postponed, leading to the owning family's pledge to attend a virtual fans forum and try to heal their relationship once again.
That's right. And we have also, besides that, we have sports news in the tennis courts. World number one Novak Djokovic and reigning champion Rafael Nadal made short work of their respective third-round opponents in the French Open yesterday. So Djokovic basically produced a dominant performance to sweep aside 93rd ranked Lithuanian Ricardas Berankis 6-1, 6-4, 6-1 in 1 hour and 32 minutes only on court. Philippe Chatrier, and is yet to lose a set in 3 matches as well. Now, Nadal did prove too strong for unseeded British opponents Cameron Norrie, winning 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 at Roland Garros. And also the Spaniard beat Djokovic in last year's final, and the pair remain on course to meet in the semifinals this time round. Djokovic also broke Berankis 6 times in Paris, in fact, and such was his control that he did not face a single break point on his own serve. So it means the 34-year-old Serbian becomes the first man in the Open era to reach the 4th round for a 12th consecutive year, and he stays on course for a 19th Grand Slam title. Now he faces 19-year-old Lorenzo Musetti next after the world number 76 reached the last 16 on his Slam debut. So we're gonna have to see what happens there.
Yep, and so much sports to look forward to as well, indeed. But Roger Federer, sadly, has voiced concern over his knees and said that he might not continue despite that heroics that we witnessed last night. What a fantastic fighter he remains, and he could pull out of the French Open because his priority remains the Wimbledon. And with his current situation, especially when it comes to injuries, it seemed that it is going to be that call may come through, that he might have to eventually pull out of the French Open.
Yeah, indeed. And in other sports news, we got that big boxing fight taking place 11 p.m. Eastern time. It's going to be between legendary boxer Floyd Mayweather and the YouTuber Logan Paul, and that's a circus fight. That's a spectacle. Everybody knows what's going to happen, but I will definitely still watch it.
Yeah.
It's just so absurd.
You're a big fan of boxing, aren't you?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, $50 it costs to watch it. You know that?
Really? The paper. I'm sure people will
expensive.
stream it everywhere.
Yeah.
That's expensive.
That's $50 just to watch
Yeah.
this fight. I mean, if it was $50 to sit and watch and eat at a hotel and watch it,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, he wants a hotel as well.
Well, if you're
Hey,
He
you're
wants it all.
greedy.
He wants it all.
no, because remember, I think it was his fight a while ago. Or it was Conor McGregor's big fight, the big fight. And I remember going down to the breakfast, and by the time I turned up, the fight was over.
Oh.
It was a crazy fight, yeah. But now
was
this is
absurd,
going to be... No, that was the Manny Pacquiao Mayweather bout. This was a while ago. And
That was a long time,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was a long time ago. So I turned up to the breakfast place. I watched one round, it was finished. I was like, oh no.
You didn't miss out on much. It
Yeah, that was
was kind of boring.
Yeah, that was an interesting fight. But now this is going to be interesting. Now the thing is, Logan Paul, you'd assume and say, come on, he's a YouTuber, not that great. But he beats Ben Askren. He beat a wrestler.
Yes.
I feel like it's fake.
What is?
Like they staged it, you know?
No, actually,
How can he do that? I mean, he's not equipped to be a
difficult to
fighter.
he is actually.
Is he?
Because I'm somewhat familiar with
Yeah,
Logan
you're-
Paul.
you're more
He
familiar,
used
I
to
don't
wrestle in high school. So he's got a combat sports background and an athletic background as well.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of money to be made in celebrity boxing, which is why he's doing it. Now, he's been practicing. He's fairly good. relatively speaking, for a YouTuber who hasn't boxed his whole life. He had a fight against...
See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he had a fight against another YouTuber, KSI, and lost that one.
KSI, I know that one, yeah.
Yeah, he lost that fight. But
Wasn't it like a couple of years ago?
It was, I think so, yeah, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
How time flies.
Right.
But then he had the fight against MMA fighter Ben Askren, and he beat him. But Askren was more of a wrestler type guy. He wasn't more of a striker. So it's going to be interesting to see this. Like, obviously, Floyd is going to beat him, but I think it's just fun to watch a spectacle like this.
Yeah.
Like, every now and then you want those weird circus fights where it's lopsided, but it's also crazy and weird, and I think that's what we're getting here. I don't know. Would you watch something like this, Rania? Does it float your boat, seeing your YouTubers?
No.
Your favorite YouTubers at it?
No, I just feel, I don't know why, because I'm
Yeah.
always spectacle. I'm like, oh, this is fake. This is not real. You know, he's a YouTube star. What does he know about boxing? Like, yeah, I'm that kind of a person.
You're only one punch away
Yeah.
from a big win. You're only one punch away, and that is just...
It definitely gives hope for the rest of us, because, I mean, it's not his domain, basically, but
Yeah.
he did score, a win, but still,
Yeah.
I don't believe it for some reason.
And the thing about Floyd's style is he's a defensive counter-puncher type guy. Like, he'll just dodge you for a few rounds until you get tired, and then he'll just poke you and you'll fall off. So
Yeah.
he's not going to get hit. It's impossible to hit him, but we'll see.
Well, it's certainly a great world of artistry that we'll witness tonight, and thanks for us. And when you do wake up in the morning and listening to us on the Majlis, we'll be discussing it in greater detail. Stay with us on Pulse 95. Lots of musical entertainment to look forward to. And then we've got Future Talk taking on the airwaves from 2 p.m., followed by Afternoon Karak and Yellow Home Indeed. And so thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be back again bright and early tomorrow morning.
That's right. And if you'd like to check out our bits and segments from today's show, head over to our SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcast as well. And make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pulse 95 Radio. We upload there daily as well. Stay tuned to Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse